Hello everyone, my name is Shaniqua, and I always like to start my videos off with just a moment of gratitude, so allow me to do that. Thank you, Lord, for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for giving me another opportunity to do that duty that is best, and trust into you, Lord, the rest. I recognize from where all of my blessings flow, and I thank you for the blessings that I have received, and I thank you for the blessings that are on the way. So again, I give my Lord and Savior gratitude, and I also want to thank each and every one of you for your support, your likes, your comments, and your shares of the video content and pictures and posts that I put on this Facebook page and Instagram page. And I just wanted to let you know that my desire is to assist you all in transforming your life towards living, laughing, and loving unapologetically. Now, those three things that I just mentioned mean so much today than they did probably 8 to 12 weeks ago, that I continue to think of topics and titles that are relevant to what we are all experiencing today. So what I wanted to go over is how to have a difficult conversation with the lens of all of us experiencing a pandemic and understanding that the framework, the way that we have conversations, the emotions that are tied to these conversations can be different during this time. So the first thing I want to encourage is before you even schedule having a difficult conversation, that you take the time to think about what you want to talk about in the conversation. What is the goal of the conversation? Think about the accountability and responsibility of yourself and the role that you may have played in the conversation that you are about to have. Those are three things that I think are very relevant before even having a difficult conversation, because as you reflect and you think about the individual, in particular, I can relate this to performance. So if you are a manager and you have an individual that's underneath you and you want to have a difficult conversation with them about their performance, the first thing that you think about is what role did you play in terms of your responsibility and accountability to your person that you need to talk to. For instance, when it comes to performance, have you gone over the expectations of the role, the task, the expectations of this individual? Are they aware of what they're expected to do? That's number one. Number two, if they are, have you had an opportunity prior to having this difficult conversation to go over their progress or their regression or their stagnation in getting the duties and performance done? So if you have not had the conversation before, the difficult conversation should start with just acknowledging that the person either has or has not been meeting expectations. Now remember, you should not just be having a difficult conversation when things are going wrong or things are not moving along, but you should also be providing consistent, constant feedback to the individual when they are doing things well. Swimmingly well, above your expectations, you should be letting them know that too. So as you prepare to have your difficult conversation, and you acknowledge that you have spoken to this person before about their performance or whatever the matter might be, the conversation that you'll be having will be a part two or a touch base or a tag up on that. So you acknowledge your accountability and responsibility, so you've checked off the box for that. Now I want you to think about what the conversation is going to be like. When having a difficult conversation, preparation is everything. Because if you're not prepared and you don't know what you're talking about, you lose credibility and sometimes even the respect of the person that you're having the difficult conversation. Remember, as an individual, as a professional, you should not be asking someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. So be prepared, okay? We're probably on number 3 now. So as you prepare for the conversation, what do you expect the outcome to be? So is the outcome going to be you're giving this person a set amount of time to turn things around? If you're giving them 30 days, if you're giving them 60 days, if you're giving them 90 days, how will you support giving them feedback as to whether or not things are improving, things are not improving, the ability for them to provide you with feedback on resources that they might need, obstacles that they might be facing, support that they might need that they didn't recognize that was needed before when you had the difficult conversation. So you have to also know in your mind what you want that goal to look like as well, and how you're going to measure the goal, the success or the regression of whether or not that person is meeting their goal. So those are just some things that you need to sit down and think about, have a piece of paper or something to jot down your notes on, because that is very important and will help frame having this conversation with this person. Now I'm going to go over 8 steps on what needs to be done. Okay, so the first thing is you schedule your conversation with this person, and during these times and ages, as opposed to having an office in a building, in a setting, we now all have virtual offices via Zoom, Google, etc., whatever platform that you want to use, but I recommend that you schedule using a video conference with this individual. And you should let this person to be prepared to video conference, okay? You want to be able to, as much as you can, emulate a real life setting during these times that you normally would for this individual. So set up a video conferencing, set up a time that's agreeable for both of you. Make sure that the time that you have set is intentional and for that individual only. So don't squeeze this conversation in between meetings. Don't have this conversation at the end of the day when you know that you are less focused, a little groggy, burnt out from the day of from the day's work. So make sure that that time works for everyone as well. Next, in terms of topic of conversation, be specific. Be honest with the person when you have this conversation. First, before you even get into the conversation, ask how are they doing. A lot will tell you, and just listening and just practicing active listening as to what's going on with the person. The person may say something about they've experienced anxiety, they've had a lot of difficulties managing through COVID-19. They may be caring for a loved one that may be COVID-19. They may have lost a person close to them, dear to them. They may be sick themselves. You never know what someone is experiencing until you ask. Do not assume. Ask the question. Ask how they're doing. Be sincere. Be authentic in your ask, and listen. Listen to what they're saying to you. Not that it changes that the nature of the conversation or what needs to be discussed, but as an individual, as a manager, it gives you a lens as to what that person is actually experiencing and going through. Okay, so next, you ask them about themselves. Next, in terms of what you want to talk to them about, say to them, hey, I've been wondering what's been going on. I've noticed. Wondering and notice. 2 words that you can use positively and negatively. In this instance, we're using it to highlight something, let's say negatively. So, hi, I was wondering, I noticed recently that you haven't been turning in your work, your assignments, etc. on time. I noticed that they've been late, and I didn't receive any message or notification that it was going to be late. So I was wondering what was going on. You've asked a question. Now allow the person to answer. It is okay, ladies and gentlemen, to have a pause when you're having a difficult conversation. A pause allows you to take your breath and to reflect, and it also allows the person to think about what you've asked them to and to provide you with an answer. So it is okay to have a pause during a difficult conversation. Next, in terms of their feedback and what they tell you, be mindful of the language that you use also when you're having your conversation. Words matter. Use words that are concise and consistent and specific to what you want to talk to the individual about. I noticed that your work has been turned in late. I noticed that I have not been receiving any feedback in terms of didn't know it was going to be late, or that you needed resources, or whatever the situation might be. And then in terms of next steps, you can go offer them a solution. So, hey, to make sure that I want to make sure that you understand that, one, I value you as an employee, as an individual, and I want to help you be successful. Let them know that you want them to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost to let someone go and to rehire someone is so high. And I think that even everyone deserves an opportunity to improve themselves. So again, I encourage you to give this person an opportunity to know what is going on, what you expect of them, and provide them with an opportunity to turn it around and to change. So you offer a solution. So over the next 30 days, you might say to this person, let's meet, once a week. Let's schedule time once a week for 30 minutes. We may not need the whole time, but just let me know where things are going with what you're working on, what any challenges that you might have in terms of understanding priorities during this time and day ages. Ladies and gentlemen, teleworking, you're constantly adapting, you're constantly reshuffling, shifting different things that need to get done based on when they're needed and who needs it. So understand that people are managing their work differently, especially in the absence of having a supervisor that they can go to, walk to down the hall and ask a question. A lot of people are trying to figure things out on their own, and as managers, you owe it to them to help them prioritize on what you need, company objectives and deliverables, and help them stay on task. So schedule a half-hour tag up with them on at least a weekly basis to make sure that things are moving along. If they're not, an opportunity to check in on them on their just how are they doing on their mental health and things of that nature relative outside of the scope of job, but also very important towards them being able to do their job. So you've offered them a solution, and if you notice as you're having the conversation, because we only talked about one topic, there could be several topics that you want to go over with this individual. Just pay attention to their emotions. Are they getting upset? Are they getting defensive? It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to ask them, are you okay? Do you want to take a break? Do you need to use the bathroom? Do you need to get a drink of water? Because what it is, as a person that's been on both sides of the table of receiving and also giving negative feedback sometimes, the person can get upset, and it's okay. A lot of these conversations are unexpected. The person didn't see it coming, or if they did see it coming, they don't know specifically all the things that you were going to talk about. So as you sit there and you hear things, it's natural for some people to get upset. And I think it's a courtesy and it's the right thing to do to ask the person if they're okay, if you need to take a break. We can finish this, having this conversation later on today, to give them an opportunity to think about what you've said, an opportunity to give you feedback as well. You want this to be a win-win. So whatever solution you devise, make sure that it's applicable to the person. There is not a one-size-fits-all type of solution for everyone. So recognize that as a manager and as an individual. Be empathetic. Let them know that you are providing this feedback to them because you want them to be successful. Let them know that you too were on the other side of the table, and how, as a manager, how important that you think it is to provide people with feedback, and offer them an opportunity to talk about the issue and provide a path forward for them to be successful. Then you can also allow the person to ask questions. So they may have questions for you. Give them that opportunity, that respect to participate in the conversation, that it's not just one-sided, that it is conversational. And again, schedule time to meet with this person on a weekly basis going forward. And then you can take a deeper dive, let's say 30 days from when you had the conversation, to report if the person is progressing the way that you expected. They may have exceeded expectations, and it's great to let them know that you have knocked it out the park. You have exceeded my expectations, and I think that this is something that we need to continue to do going forward, not just when we need to have a difficult conversation and go over things that are being negatively impacted relative to performance. I think this will buy trust between the two of you. It will provide you with a greater understanding as a manager of what the person is actually going through, and allow you to reflect on resources and things that you can provide to that person to help them be a better employee, and even think about a path forward in terms of promotion opportunities. Again, right now we're in a situation and an age where we are working differently, we are managing differently, and I think we all need to acknowledge that with our subordinates and the people underneath us, and just say we are all learning differently on the fly on how to manage and how to support each other, and ask them for any feedback that will help them as well. So maybe having an email exchange versus having a conversation, because this person might be managing work and family. If they ask you for an alternative for providing you with feedback, allow that person to participate in that and give it a try. If it doesn't work, you can say, well, that's not working. I really was hoping to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and give you feedback, or create a tracker. I've talked to you about a weekly action report. I use this every day, personally and professionally. It allows you to keep track of what you're doing, how much time you're spending, who you need to talk to, who was informed, who was consulted. You can set a completion date. A weekly action report can tell you so many different things, and I think it is a great tool when it comes time to reflecting on your performance. It helps you build out and demonstrate your accomplishments and so many other things. So I'm going to wrap this video up, and thank you all again for your likes, your comments, and your shares. And if you'd like to hear me talk about or provide tips and strategies on other topics that are relevant to you professionally or personally, please let me know. Sending you all so much love, so much light. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have the best day ever, and I will talk to you later. Peace, peace, peace.